I want to thank our speakers very much, and we do have time for questions, which can be directed to the individual speakers. We have about 10 or 12 minutes, and if you would stand up and articulate your question, I might need to repeat it if everybody can't hear it, and we can address things that have crossed your mind while they've been flooding you with new ideas. So anyway, yes, first this gentleman and then you, ma'am. Yes, so yeah. Has not really talked about what? I'm sorry.
About the actual history of suffer creating frontier laws, like different kinds of cultures and the academic research.
If I could repeat that and summarize it, he's pointing out historically that a lot of the movement for women came from the Rocky Mountain areas. And actually, I teach property law, and the women's property rights all came from the ranching states. Women needed to be able to manage their property when their husbands were deceased or gone, and they got it started, and then it spread to the rest of the country. And I don't know, does anybody here feel qualified to address the question of Sarah Palin's addressing or not the question of frontier feminism and its origins? Anybody? Laura?
Well, I'm not really qualified, but I'll address it anyway. I myself am from Oregon, and I think there's the same kind of mentality there. There's this kind of pioneering mentality. And everybody there, the women as well as the men, we're supposed to be tough, self-reliant, independent. Maybe we're a little too independent, or we think we are. But there is this attitude of women as needing to fulfill a lot of roles that have been maybe traditionally thought of as tasks for men. And I do think that that's the kind of, when Sarah Palin appeals to this grizzly bear image, that is appealing to that kind of perspective on women. I don't think I really ever felt like a grizzly bear, but I can sort of identify with the idea of power, women having more power and being powerful even especially in maybe defending our children, which is a different way of being a powerful woman. All right, thanks.
Ma'am, in the yellow sweater? I might want to throw that over to Catherine. Yeah, I think that was adequately clear. The final question being, is there room for a more, in the American style, political spectrum, left version of pro-life feminism? And Catherine?
Yeah, it seems like the group of candidates, if I'm not mistaken, this fall are all pro-life candidates on the Republican ticket. I don't think we see pro-life female candidates on the Democratic ticket in terms of political leadership. However, given the demographic trends, what's taking place with regard to larger groups of minorities that are becoming larger portions of our population, those groups actually straddle the political camps, so they tend to be socially conservative on the life issue, and they tend to be more fiscally liberal, for instance, on health care and things like that. So, for instance, I believe it was a couple of months ago, I believe it was a couple of months ago, Hispanics were polled about their views on health care and health care provision, and they overwhelmingly supported it over other demographic groups in the United States. So I don't see the political leadership as of yet, but given the trends, I don't see how there could not be the possibility for someone running for political office who is both pro-life and possibly more democratic leaning on welfare policies, for instance.
Brad?
Just a quick follow-up, too. I mean, I think there is obviously a real tension between the kind of libertarian ethos that's found among many of the current female pro-life Republican politicians and the kind of family policies that were mentioned earlier as being kind of more conducive to family life and to a kind of a flexible work-family strategy. But I think in terms of getting Republicans interested in kind of a more authentically pro-family agenda, one way to do that is to sort of pursue policies that kind of mirror the approach to education, where there's been a focus on vouchers and school choice, and to have a similar kind of approach to family policy. So you're looking at, giving families, vouchers or some kind of tax credit for child care or, the care of the infirm or the older adults and whatnot. So that's, I think, maybe one way of getting kind of Republicans who are more averse to big government to reconsider their more hands-off approach to family policy.
I would add to that before Marjorie, then I'll have you up and conclude, is there's a lot of room in either party to tie together the economic and the family issues. An issue that I research and write about a lot in family law that frankly breaks my heart is the question of poor families, disproportionately in the United States, African-American immigrant families, whose family circumstance, out-of-wedlock births being a large part of that, are a factor in their lack of opportunity economically and educationally. You can see, right by stating the case, how much room there is for self-described conservatives and self-described liberals to be honest about what's happening. You can't dissociate family stability from overall economic stability. You also can't dissociate educational opportunity, health care, etc., from that stability and prosperity. And if the demographic trends that are described and that both Brad and Catherine have described are coming more to fruition, then I think you might see a broader discussion of pro-life by more people. And I'm going to call Marjorie up and to say concluding words. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it, and we hope this is really just the beginning of a further academic, intellectual, and cultural conversation. Thank you.